Hi there, welcome to Island Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Taurus energy. And like usual, we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because there's all sorts of people in the world, and Taurus energy does kind of talk about our philosophy of life and basically kind of the lessons that we've learned. If some people harness a more, what we'd refer to as a more immature Taurus energy, they could be more about wanting to be in relationships, to be in relationships, have a job, to have a job, but they might not be somebody who really puts in work and effort, could want reward without effort, could be more concerned about their status or their image, or status and image and money and materialism is kind of the primary focus in their life. And some people have had more life experience. They've kind of worked through being more about themselves in the world. And they could want to be in relationships that are more about balance and justice and fairness and where people really walk the talk. And, they've grown and matured themselves. They're not operating from their more immature worldly nature. They're more aligned with their hopeful, believing nature of them believing in themselves, believing in their dreams, being inspired by love. And we just need to listen to our intuition about who's who. This could be something particularly that people who are a Taurus sun sign or have significant Taurus placements might battle with. But we all tap into Taurus energy. We all are somewhere on the spectrum of being more self-focused, worldly focused, indulgence focused, or, we've learned some lessons in life to temper our more egoic nature. So let's go see what's going on. The overarching reason for the reading is the Chariot, which is Cancer energy, which can be about what we love. And some people love themselves. Some people love these things they indulge in. Some people are more in love and caught up with the world. And then it can be more about looking loving so that people will get in relationship with you, but you kind of use your emotions more manipulatively. So those people would harness a more shadowy Taurus philosophy of life and a more shadowy Cancer energy where they maybe use their emotions more manipulatively. And other people have gotten in the driver's seat of their life and they have gotten emotionally balanced within themselves, kind of gotten balanced between their worldly Taurus energy, their more hopeful, believing Taurus energy from a place of love. And love is kind of the driving factor for the decisions they make. But it has to be just and fair because love is supposed to be just and fair. And maybe before people could have indulged people in poor behavior because it's like, oh, aren't I supposed to offer love and encouragement to people? Yeah, but doesn't mean you have to get in a more involved relationship with them if they're still in more shadowy energy. But regardless, the Chariot can talk about people moving forward in a way that they view victorious and successful, whatever their viewpoint is in life. They're going to move forward based on how they view life, what they value, what drives and motivates them, because they view that as victorious and successful. So, we start out with the Three of Cups, which is also Cancer energy. And again, the Three of Cups, you're either authentically operating from a foundation of love. That's like what the more high vibrational people are doing. But some other people, again, kind of use their emotions manipulatively. And right now, they could try to be emotionally manipulating some people. Next to it, we have the Magician. You're either authentically who you say you are, and you're working together with people in a just and fair and balanced and truthful and loving way because you're motivated and inspired in the Ace of Cups by love, or you're just trying to create the illusion that if people move forward with you, like there's love on the other side. But for some, that's just an illusion they create. So people will be their friend, date them, marry them, come work for them in a company, right? But it's not really love. Then we have the Pisces card, which can be, again, some people have hope and faith and belief in their dreams and they're really authentically motivated by love. And other people are just kind of trying to manipulate loving people, have hope and faith and belief in love. But they're, again, trying to create an illusion, like to be in relationships, like to have a job, but they still have illusions about what it means to be in a relationship. And some of them are hiding that it is more for the ego or the image or the status, or I just want to look like I've moved on. I want to look like I'm a more emotionally balanced, loving person. If I can get whoever to employ me or get in a friendship or relationship with me, it'll make it look like, the magician is Gemini and Virgo energy. Gemini is our dualistic nature of what our truth really is, and Virgo energy is kind of about what our truth really is. And you can try to create the illusion, again, I'm a more just, fair, stable, grounded person, or motivated and inspired by love, but I might, again, the moon can be, I'm not being authentic. I'm not really revealing the truth of what drives and motivates me. But I want to create the illusion I've moved on, I've changed, I've healed, I've grown, I've matured. But for some, they're the same kind of immature person that they were before. The Eight of Wands, the Sagittarius energy. You're either authentically motivated and inspired by truth and love to go on this adventure in life and learn more lessons, because high vibe Sagittarius is about higher learning and education. And some people are like, no, I just want to create the illusion I'm that type of person and create the illusion that I'm not the same person I was at the last job or in the last relationship. Well, if people who are more shadowy come in contact with someone or is in friendships or relationships with people right now that also live their life like that, more caught up in the illusion. I love the illusion is what kind of Pisces energy and the moon card can talk about, being caught up in the illusion. Someone could just be caught up in the illusion of someone. I buy into what you say you are. And Taurus energy can be people who act, anyone can harness it, where they act like they're a pillar of society. I act with character and integrity. And in a lot of ways, some people can, but they can still be immature people. They can still be manipulative. They can still be more about their ego and their image than love. But so long as someone buys into the illusion of who they are, we've all got to learn lessons in life. And we kind of come in contact with all these different people, and part of it might be if we do kind of get caught up more in love because we can want to manifest these certain things in the world, right? Sometimes we do get caught up in the illusion and we kind of maybe aren't listening to our intuition. And the high priestess energy and the feminine figures can talk about how people think and feel, is also Pisces energy and Cancer energy. We all want to be in friendships and relationships. We all want to be in jobs with people who present themselves as being loving and supportive and encouraging people, but are they? And sometimes we have to go on, again, sometimes we weren't really listening to our intuition because we were really kind of inspired in the Eight of Wands. We want things to kind of work out in our favor, and you could have hope and faith and belief. And sometimes it just takes time to really get to know people. So that's kind of what the three cards here that aren't showing themselves can talk about. That some of the people in our life are aligned with our truth. If we're more worldly, shadowy, manipulative, immature, caught up in illusion, we probably have some people in our life who are like that too, and they are like, hey, this is great. We're on the same page. If we're more loving and hopeful and believing and inspired to believe in ourselves and believe in our dreams, we probably have some people in our life who are on the same page as us in that regard. But we can always have some people in our life where it's a little more mismatched. And sometimes we can get in a job or a friendship or relationship and we realize that, because I think, you know, if we could view people as someone that we're attracted to, that we want to move forward with, that, you know, we could have a lot of things in common. We could like to invest our time, energy, and effort into things. Pisces and Cancer can talk about things that we enjoy, that we find pleasure in. You know, just the fact that, you know, if you like to go to the car races and you found somebody who likes to go to the car races, like, oh my gosh, just like great. Or you're someone who likes to go to the movies and you found someone else who likes to go to the movies, or, you know, whatever, just all those kind of things. So we can have a lot in common with people to a degree, but sometimes these cards here could really be some deal breakers. And initially, with some people, we don't realize we harness these energies differently. They don't know. Some of the more worldly, shadowy people don't realize that some people harness these in a more high vibrational way. And some of the high vibe people don't realize the people they're in a relationship kind of harness them in a more shadowy way. So, what are they? The Knight of Wands in reverse and the Justice card. And over here we have the Star card. So, the Star card in Aquarius energy, again, some people create the illusion, yes, I'm motivated and inspired by love, but they really don't have hope and faith and belief in love, some people, and the dream isn't going to come into reality. And some people just create the illusion, keep moving forward with me, keep putting work and effort with me, keep believing the dream will come into reality, but they're hiding, like, this isn't my dream job, this isn't my dream life, this isn't my dream relationship. Because some people, they're just not motivated by love, but they can get in relationships with loving people. But that might just be because some of the people who are more on the same page as them, there's either no one around like that, or those people aren't in their life anymore, right? And some people aren't inspired, the Knight of Wands, like the Eight of Wands, the Sagittarius energy. Some people aren't even motivated to be just and fair. You know, if you're not motivated to be more just and fair, well, then you create the illusion you're loving, but you really kind of are immature, think people should indulge you. You could be kind of full of yourself, and you think people should kind of indulge you in your poor behavior. Maybe some people, the Chariot can represent like people are moving forward in a way that looks victorious and successful. And there's high vibe people that are moving forward victoriously, and they are creative, inspired, loving people. They've kind of grown up from their more immature Sagittarius energy, and they've been inspired by love to get in the driver's seat of their life, to listen to their intuition, and they're not as caught up in being about themselves or making these things of the world like the end all be all in their life. And then there's other people that are exactly the opposite. We live in a world of duality where we have to have free will to pick this or pick that. So for everyone who's more hopeful and believing and inspired by love, regardless of if you're more immature or much more mature, less stable and grounded, more stable and grounded, there's going to be people who are the exact opposite of that, kind of on the other side. Again, you know, high vibe energy kind of represented by God, shadowy energy represented by the devil. There's always going to be duality in this world. And it's our intuition, if we're willing to be inspired to listen to it and kind of get out of our more illusions about life and indulging our more immature behavior, because our shadow nature wants to be in the driver's seat of our life. Our shadow nature wants us to not be inspired to get the justice we deserve, to get more balance within ourselves. High vibe, Gemini and Virgo, you know, shadowy energy represented by the devil, is just all these different things that manipulate us. To put in work and effort to love ourselves, to work through our fears and insecurities, that stop us from believing in our dreams and being more inspired to get more emotionally balanced, to live our more authentic life. And then there's these different people in the world that we can choose to be in relationship and friendship with. And the people who kind of more are more caught up in the world, maybe are more immature, could be more egoic focused, image focused, whatever. They want people to hang out with them, be in a relationship with me, work here, And then there's other people in the world that are like, no, be my friend and work here, and it just, do we get in friendships and relationships and workplaces that are kind of aligned with our truth? People who have went through a phase of life to kind of see through the illusion of all these different stages of life that we went through. Like, I saw through the illusion of being 15 and I started to act more like an 18-year-old. And then I saw through the illusion of just being like an 18-year-old and I became like a 21-year-old. And I kept listening to my intuition that I could be victorious, kind of going to that next stage of life. But it requires that I kind of invest in loving and believing in myself, because otherwise my fears will stop me. And that's what can happen with some people. And we've all been there. But for some people, they don't ever plan to do love, because love is like the danger zone. I could get hurt doing that. I want to be in them. I want to indulge in them. But either I don't really want to put in work and effort, like I want to cheat the system or kind of slide by, maybe find other people who put a lot of work and effort, who are really inspired by love and putting in work and effort to be just and fair. And Taurus energy is fixed sign energy. Generally, it's like an energy people tap into when they're in a relationship, and they put this work and effort to make things victorious and successful and more balanced and inspiring and loving, because that's the type of people they are. And that's what drives and motivates them. Then some people are like, yeehaw, I want to come with you. That'd be great to be in a relationship with someone who's like that. But that's kind of not their truth. The Justice card is also represented by, it's Libra energy, and I view Libra energy as represented by the King of Swords. We can all view things as just and fair. Some people who are bossy and controlling think it's just and fair to be in a relationship with a loving and encouraging person who might have fear of believing in themselves and maybe in their King of Swords energy to stand up for justice and fairness. So someone who's like bossy and controlling can create an illusion that they're more loving, get in a relationship with someone who's more hopeful and believing in love. It's like, perfect, I got someone caught up in the illusion of who I am. Yeah, let's move forward. And as we move forward, as time goes by, you're kind of going to realize I'm not that inspired to be more just and fair. That I just kind of try to emotionally manipulate people to get them to view me a certain way, and I conduct myself a certain way in the world, and I might go to certain functions and activities and organizations so that people view me a certain way. And if that's kind of seems to fit the mold of someone who really is doing it because they're authentically inspired to do it because it's the truth of who they are, for some it's just like a show, a performance. Some people were brought up to be like that, right? Don't be authentically yourself. The world will judge you. And the most important thing, like in Taurus energy, is your image and your status. And if you look a certain way and act a certain way and participate in these certain activities and functions and organizations in the world, people will kind of view you a certain way, and you could even be kind of shadowy, bossy, controlling, immature, egotistical, self-centered. But don't let anybody know that. Create this illusion, conform to the world, don't really live your authentic life, because People should live their authentic life, but because it's your truth and it's an injustice. You end up trying to present yourself as being more. It's like people trying to apply for a job that they're not qualified for. What a waste of time. Other people eventually, it's like, we could like you and like a lot of things about you, but you don't seem very motivated to put in work and effort. You kind of create the illusion, like put in just enough. We'd really like to have somebody who works here who's actually authentically inspired to be here, who enjoys their job and wants to move forward with us because it's their truth. And, you can see how you could correlate that to a relationship, right? So, when some people got themselves, and some people are in this situation right now, but there kind of comes a time, we get tired of settling for the illusion, and we kind of realize our dream isn't going to come into reality there. And same way, like if it was a job and they created this illusion that there's going to be this opportunity to move forward and learn more things so that you could eventually, either with them or take those skills out in the world to get the justice you deserve in the world. And then you take that job and then they're like, oh, sorry, yeah, no, we're really not going to do that. And there really is no other opportunities here. But we wanted you to stay here. We want you to just, out of your own fear and codependency, because with Taurus being fixed sign energy, when we get in friendships, jobs, and relationships, we'd really like those things to work so we don't have to go look for a different one, right? And sometimes that's what people are counting on. So they create this illusion so people will invest in them in some way. But then nothing's ever going to change. They want to keep moving forward. Once you get there and you kind of find out kind of how things really operate, that is how they want to keep moving forward. And it was just an illusion that they were going to do things any differently. So some people had to do that work within themselves. They don't and didn't really want to move on from it, but they do want justice. And so then they have to do this work within themselves to really think about, what they want to manifest. We could love a job. We could be in friendships. We could live in certain communities, and there's a lot of things we could love about it. But are we kind of indulging ourselves, that it kind of looks like we're moving forward in life, but we're really not. We just kind of keep repeating, because we'll keep repeating an old pattern over and over and over until we kind of see the truth. And Virgo energy is about being illuminated to the truth. That kind of my intuition and everything tells me it's time to move on. So, or that like I'm ready to go to the next phase of life and just look at life differently, work through, offer love to my fears and insecurities. So those things, or my self-limiting beliefs, or my past pain and heartbreak, or other people in my life that weren't just or fair or whatever. I want to work through it so I can be free of it. So then it doesn't manipulate me anymore. And I could have had people in my life who kind of manipulated me, created an illusion. They were more motivated and inspired by love than they weren't. And the whole thing is we did learn valuable lessons from that life experience. We learned, it helped us get more clear about our truth and what we want and what we don't want, and realizing, because high vibe people are loving and they're motivated and inspired by love, and they think other people, of course, would be choose love. Like, who wouldn't choose love? But again, we live in a world of duality, and somewhere along the line, people decided, nope, I'm not doing that. It's just that it's scary. I would have to get more balanced. I would have to be more just and fair. That's like unknown territory is what the moon can talk about. I'd have to listen to my intuition to kind of guide me. And Taurus can kind of be too, where people want to follow a template. I know how other people in life did things. I could have worked with people in my past that weren't inspired to maybe live their more authentic life, to be more inspired by love. And they could have been more manipulated and caught up in the world. So, of course, there's that Bible verse, don't conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And that's what some people did. We all, at different phases of our life, Libra and Aquarius are both air sign energy of the mind. We all tap into it. For the first 3-4 decades of our life, we're probably pretty inspired by the world and things of the world and all these things we want to go indulge in and all these things that we think will make us happy. And everything everybody else in our world tells us will make us happy. And we know how certain people have lived their life, and we've seen some of those people move forward. It seemed just and fair. It looked victorious and successful in some ways. And this is not hard, maybe wanting to take more inspired action in their life. And so Taurus is earth sign energy, and earth sign energy can be very hard to budge. And Taurus represents kind of our philosophy of life, of how we view ourselves, how we view others, how we view the world, maybe what we believe is possible, what we think is right or wrong or good or bad, and how we can have these ideas about what we think is just and fair about how to treat people in a relationship. And so some people want to follow a template. I know some people I could have loved. Those people seem to work together and move forward in a way that could have looked very successful. I'm going to follow what they did. And that would be someone who rejects their own more creative, inspired, intuitive nature to go on their own journey. It's like, nope, they worked here, I'm going to work there. They got in a relationship with this type of person. It had these kind of issues, these kind of problems, but it worked out. I'm going to go it can be really extreme. It's kind of shocking sometimes if you really get to know some people, how they just really do not live their own authentic life. And so it's this fear of living their more authentic life. What if I were to go live my more authentic life and it didn't work out? Well, again, we learned a lesson about, like say somebody wants to be like, they love music, right? But, that can be a hard industry to get in. But what other things do you like? What Virgo kind of talks about your own unique talent, skills, and interests, and that you were given, because those are part of you that you can use to feel emotionally balanced within yourself. It inspires and motivates you. But, maybe some things within that career field won't work out. It's just like people who like music, but it's like, are you a compassionate, loving person? Music they use in nursing homes, and they use it for therapy with people and children, maybe with disabilities. It has such a amazing effect kind of on the brain, even, and how it shifts people's mood. And there's just so many things. If you like music, but you're also smart and bright and you're kind of engineer, you could end up doing something, or you work the cameras, or you do, just to be in a field that inspires and motivates you. You might not be necessarily the star of the show, but you'd still be investing in your dream, and you'd be in community and relationship with people that are in it. But some people, they're just unwilling to live their more authentic life. Some people gave up and could have even had people in their life that kind of manipulated them and made them at one point in time give up on their dreams. And that's the whole thing with Taurus energy. It is like all these invisible thoughts and ways of viewing life in our head. And there can come a time where we got to look at all those things to say, who put this in my head? Is that my truth? Or was that Uncle Bob or Aunt Sally or my mom or my dad or someone I knew when I was 10 or 15? Either something they said, good or bad or ugly, What's my truth? And am I going to let my own shadow nature and my own fear and my own insecurity or other people in my life who are kind of shadowy and maybe trying to confuse me about loving and believing in myself? It's to be with Virgo and Taurus, it is to be practical and grounded. And it also takes work and effort. And some people work through that. What is the opposite sign of Taurus? Scorpio energy. Which Scorpio energy can be about willing to explore the mysteries of life, kind of go on that roller coaster of life, and even exploring themselves emotionally. We're incredibly complex human beings. We have a lot of contradictory thoughts and feelings, right? And some people just aren't inspired to do that. So it could be that they're out of balance, and instead of being balanced between their worldly nature and their emotional nature, they do, some of them, more align with their more worldly nature. Other people are kind of tipped the other way where they're really loving and giving. And then that's when you can kind of get in these equally mismatched relationships. One person's very giving and loving and encouraging. The other person's like, that's great, I'm more about these things. Can you be in a more imbalanced kind of ways of viewing the world and living the world? To a degree, if both people are motivated and inspired by love. And I appreciate what you bring to the table, and the other person appreciates what they bring to the table. It's not like, oh my gosh, we both have to be super loving and giving, nurturing people, or we both have to be really dedicated and motivated by our careers. Some people's skill set of what they bring that truly makes a very stable and grounded and abundant and inspiring, loving relationship is that some people bring more things or different things to it, you know? But so long as everybody appreciates it. But a shadowy Taurus relationship can be where the people who might have more of these things of the world, like present themselves as loving, but they might be more, have more, they could think anyway, who knows if they've really got it, but by what they look like, what they dress like, how much money they have, if they have a successful job or whatever. And then they could think, well, you should want to be in a relationship with me because aren't you afraid your dreams won't come into reality? That's what I'm counting on. And I think that's just and fair. I kind of have more of these things of the world. You might be a more loving, nurturing person. And isn't that how the world works? I want what you have, you kind of want what I have. But shadowy Taurus is that it is a more transactional relationship. And generally, the people who might have more of these things of the world could kind of think that they should kind of be the more indulged person in the relationship because they think what they bring to the table is more important. And if they get in that kind of a mismatched relationship, there's a lot of reasons, that the loving people could want to stay in the relationship, mainly because they love them. But we all, in our worldly nature, can be tempted, we want the stability and the security and all those things. But eventually, the high vibe people are like, I'm offering love. And I want it to be a more just and fair relationship. And maybe I was repeating a pattern where I did kind of indulge people in their poor behavior, because that is the way I used to view life too, and the way I thought was just and fair in a relationship. But then you kind of hope that as a relationship moves forward, that you hope they're really willing to be more authentic and loving. Because again, you could have gotten relationships, you both could have been kind of more immature, had these lessons to learn. Everybody could have thought, yeah, we'll kind of get to a place of balance in the relationship and work through these things. And some people do, and because everybody's kind of still inspired to work through those things and the differences and the fear and the insecurities or the self-limiting beliefs, and then some people realize we might want to both stay in it, but we want to stay in it for different reasons. And I don't want someone to stay in a relationship with me if it's more because I help them just stay more emotionally stable and they're really tipped out of balance and, maybe got a lot of fears and insecurities and could be more manipulative, do things that are more immature, or I just realize it's not really love that drives and motivates them. And then I could stay in it, but then I feel like I'm moving forward in an illusion that it's not really love. And I could feel like I'm missing an opportunity in love. So, some high vibe people right now, when they quit being more inspired by the illusion or their fear or their codependency or whatever, when they work through those issues within themselves of a way of looking at life that they thought was kind of more just and fair, when they kind of were enlightened to the truth to love themselves and listen to their intuition and kind of get in the driver's seat of their own life, they offered love and truth and encouragement to the people in their life. And if those people, again, weren't willing to move forward with them in that way, they listened to their intuition, and their intuition said, your dream won't come into reality here, and this isn't just and fair. And that's where in Taurus energy, it's listening to a higher truth and justice, and we in the world can get really caught up in the worldly thing of what will people say and what about my image and what will people think of me. And it's like, we came to realize that what we're driven and motivated by is different. And I'm motivated by love, and that doesn't seem to be what they're motivated by. And love is the highest energy of all. And I think that's an injustice. And my intuition is telling me to distance myself from those people. So you could have cut out some people that you felt harness some more shadowy fire and air sign energy that are just still more caught up in their viewpoints of what they view as victorious and successful, or more about them, or more about other things than love. And then you went to go manifest a new beginning, and after you'd done this work to get maybe more balance within yourself, to love and believe in yourself and work through all those fears, now you're ready to have that new beginning. And as you're moving forward, you could be communicating with other people in your world, like, I'm moving forward in this way. Who wants to move forward in this way? I learned some lessons. You get out of your pride and ego. I had some lessons to learn. I learned them. I've kind of freed myself from an old way of living life or viewing life. And I'm stepping into unknown territory. Who wants to come with? And there will be some people in your life who are inspired and have been, or will, get to be, because you're either a leader in the world, setting kind of a good example. That's high vibe Taurus, walking the talk. You are who you say you are. You're not trying to manipulate people. You're not trying to confuse people about the truth of who you are. You're not taking more immature action to try to get justice in the world, because if you plant bad seeds, you're going to get a bad outcome. So you let go of that more worldly dream and way of viewing life and looking at life. And some people don't know that, so there can always be people who could try to want to be the next person to indulge in a friendship or relationship with you, and they kind of repeat some of these old ways of being. And you're like, oh, yeah, no, I wish you peace and love, but my intuition is telling me to kind of keep my distance from you. And I'm going to go invest more of my time, energy, and effort into the people who I think maybe don't use their emotions manipulatively, who don't try to tempt people more in their pride or their ego or their lust or their greed or their more materialistic nature. I'm looking for someone who wants to move forward in a relationship inspired by an emotionally balanced, loving relationship. And if you're more trying to hide the truth or try to confuse me about the truth or manipulate me, I see that you're not someone I want to be in a relationship with. And those, again, could be some of the people that you've cut out of your life because their idea of the dream life and how to interact within it and what they think is just and fair is different than your idea of the dream life and what you think is just and fair. And they need to go try to create that with someone else. And some of those people are doing that right now and trying to get someone else to move forward with them in their life, being caught up in the illusion of them or these things of the world, or confuse them about the truth about why some other relationships didn't work out, or jobs, right? High vibe people are offering people love, to work together with them in love, to be inspired by love, and to listen to their intuition, to want to be in more emotionally balanced, authentic, loving relationships. And there can be some people that just, no, that's not their truth. They're not going to do it. Other people could, again, they could want to be that type of person, but you might find out, it really isn't about just creating the illusion. It's about really being that type of person authentically from your heart. And it's like, oh, shoot. Well, for some of those people, it won't work out. And other people that could be in your life, other people that you might know, other people you might meet, it's just listening to your intuition about kind of who's who. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Taurus energy that they might not see coming up? Apparently we have to find just the right cards. The Six of Pentacles, which is Taurus energy. Why did that come out? Because of the Knight of Swords. And the Knight of Swords is Gemini energy. And the Knight fights for kind of what we believe in. The King and Queen of Swords, like within us, is the one who sends the Knight of Swords to go tell people in the kingdom of our life. This is what I think is just and fair, and I have a dream. In your high vibe Libra and Aquarius energy, because I view the King of Swords as Libra and the Queen of Swords as Aquarius, that in my Taurus philosophy of life, it is to be just and fair, motivated and inspired by love. And the people who harness their Libra, Taurus, Aquarius, and what they're motivated and inspired by isn't that, well, they can stand up and keep taking action to get what they view as just as fair, but you're going to stand up for what you think is just and fair. And there's going to be some people you have your sword up to. The Six of Pentacles can talk about, I'm not going to be exchanging time, energy, effort, and resources with you in the world if I don't have to. You know, when I'm out in the world, you know, I'm going to treat, in high vibe Taurus, treat people the way I like to be treated. I'm going to treat people in a respectful, considerate way. Do I want to have more to do with you? No. I don't know what manipulates people, why they act the way they act, but that's their free will choice. I have my free will choice in the Six of Pentacles to act with character and integrity, maintain balance within myself, treat people with love and respect in a just and fair way, acting with character and integrity, and they have the free will to respond or act the way they want to. And I'm no longer caught up in illusion. People are either being authentic and working together with people in a just and fair, authentic, loving way, or they're trying to manipulate people for some other purpose. And I'm not interested in that. Go manipulate someone else. And I think as you move forward in that energy, because you were willing to get to the truth, you did this work within yourself. You first work through your own fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, because we don't want to blame other people for why we might feel like our dreams aren't coming into reality. We need to work through the issues within ourselves, because we're the only person we control. We can't make other people change. So I need to figure out what within me makes me do what I do, and why I invest my time, energy, and effort into certain ways of thinking or believing or feeling or people. And to listen to my intuition about who do I need to offer peace to and move on from. And who are the people in my life that my intuition tells me I think those people are being authentic and are more on the same page as me. And I could reach out to those people too. And just like you can do that in the world, other people in the world can do that, and they can do that to you, and you can do that to other people. You know, we kind of communicate how we conduct ourselves and what we stand for, even just kind of energetically, by how we live our life, how we interact with people. And if people listen to their intuition and they're like, you know, I think you are more on the same page as me, and you listen to your intuition, I think these people are more on the same page as me, then you're going to have some people that you're going to be standing up and defending, and some people are doing that with you in your life, and you're doing that in their life. And, you know, generally, you know, if we're kind of on the same page with people, we think that way and we kind of defend it. The other people are probably going to have people in their life and people in their life that they defend, because that's how they view life. And that's okay. In a world where people have free will to look at all the ways that different people are living their life, those people looking at all the other people in the world and how they're living their life have their free will. And we believe, I guess, that the divine has a bigger plan, and like the divine is offering love and encouragement to people, and the people who are willing to work to step out of their comfort zone, face their fears. High vibe energy wants to give birth to new things, keep growing and healing and maturing ourselves. That's kind of who high vibe energy works with. And the people who aren't ready to do that yet, that's fine. You know, the major arcana cards here, like the Magician, the Justice, the Moon, the Star, the High Priestess, the Chariot. God, if you look at it from that perspective, high vibe energy is available to anyone. But they have to even be inspired to want to align with more high vibrational energy. And the truth is, some people don't. If I did, I'd have to maybe step out of my comfort zone and do life differently. So I will stay maybe in my depression or my sadness or my fear or my insecurity or being manipulated by people or in certain jobs or friendships or relationships, because I'm not ready. I wouldn't stay here if I was ready. And so then, you know, and everybody's on their own journey. And when they're ready, if they ever get ready, they might move forward in life differently. But, you know, it's not easy to learn these lessons. It gets, you know, I kind of think about it when we were little kids. I mean, really little, like learning how to walk and crawl. We were like shedding an old layer of ourself, kind of like my nesting dolls over there. We were shedding an old layer of ourself all the time. No, I think I can do that. And then we overcame that, and then we were on to the next thing, and no, I'm shedding that old layer and belief system, which Taurus is about our belief system, how we view ourselves and what we believe is possible. When we were little, we were completely aligned with life force energy to try to grow to our full potential. But then we kind of get manipulated kind of by the world, and then we can kind of get caught up in some things, and it's just part of the journey. We all go through it. But then there can come a time where we kind of get re-inspired, like we did kind of invest in those things or manifest some of those things that we wanted. But then our intuition is calling us to move forward. There's more. And it's like, more? I thought this was it. And some people are happy in their life and they're kind of confused, like, why am I kind of starting to feel differently about my life? And, again, you do that inner work. You offer love and encouragement to yourself, to the people you're in relationship while we work through it. And other people can be, well, I don't know what's going wrong. It must just be wrong and I'm just going to leave. And it's like, high vibe people act with character and integrity. They try to work through it with the people in their life. But eventually we have to see if other people, if that's out of their comfort zone and that's not their truth, they might not be willing to say it. Maybe because of their status, ego, and image, and would just rather everybody just keep moving forward the way it is. But it's like, I just can't keep doing that. So what's coming up? The way I look at it too, when we kind of go to the next phase of life, there's other people who were more bold and brave and confident, had less things that manipulated them, that were already ahead of us. And then some of those people are like, oh my goodness, I've been waiting for someone to come up the road of life. Or, if I'm an employer, it's like, oh my gosh, I was wondering if anybody was going to leave some of these other places of employment to come here and work, because we really are loving. And, and I too think that in a world of duality, if you're working somewhere in a relationship with people and they're kind of acting a little shadowy or worse, if someone's kind of creating a little hell on earth, that is your intuition telling you it is time to go, because high vibe energy is creating a little heaven on earth, and they had the free will to move forward in that type of energy with you, and they chose not to. And it can be because that just isn't their dream, or they don't look at life that way. So what's coming up for the more shadowy people that they don't see coming? The Chariot and the Two of Wands. Why? Because of the Two of Cups. The shadowy people, in their what they love, in their emotional nature of what they love in Cancer energy, they could be more in love with themselves, because the Two of Wands is Aries energy, which is about the self. Or it's always this dream of kind of more focused on the past and what looked victorious and successful. And like, let's keep doing that. And kind of like turning their back to letting go. From the 2 to the 8 is the Six of Wands, which can be about things that were victorious and successful at one time, or a way of living life that could have been a period that we felt victorious and successful. It's one thing if you realize you got caught up in something. When we're not going to keep moving forward with one thing and we're going to let that kind of go, we might realize that, oh my gosh, I kind of was drifting off into the ditch a little bit there, and I didn't even realize it. And then we have to course correct. That's the Chariot. And really maybe think about, why am I investing in the people I'm investing in, or these certain ways of being? What about the people who want to be in a relationship with me? Kind of what drives and motivates them? And high vibe people kind of do all this shadow work within themselves. Is it more about the ego and the image? Is it more about me? Am I kind of more immature? What about, do I have people that want me to keep moving forward in life the way I am for how it benefits them in some way? Or are they just indulging me? Is it love? And if we keep moving forward, being more caught up in the world, that would be shadowy chariot. I want to look victorious and successful, but I'm not inspired to get out of my ego because the Six of Wands is Leo energy. In order to move forward in life differently, I'd have to get out of my ego and defend my more high vibrational Taurus view of life. And for some people, it's like, but I don't. My truth is, I am more about me or these things of the world. And if that's me indulging someone to get these things, or someone indulging me to get these things, that's a shadowy Taurus relationship. And that is some people's truth. And that could be how they view relationships and why they get in relationships and why they think people should get in relationship with them and stay in relationship with them. But other people have a little more hope and faith and belief in themselves and love themselves, and they're not willing to keep doing the illusion. So if there are some people, whenever there's some shadowy people in the world, they're always going to have some more high vibrational people in their life that have wanted a dream to come into reality, being kind of like harnessing this energy in a more high vibe Cancer, Aries, versus more shadowy Cancer and Aries and Taurus. And they keep like, no, this will be good. You should stay here. You should keep letting me stay here. We should keep moving forward the way it's been moving forward. And eventually the people are like, we could like you. We could love you. But this needs to stop because the dream isn't going to come into reality here because our truth is different. And they wish them peace. And the high vibe people then go want to manifest with people who are more on the same page as them. And because of that, I think the more shadowy people try to create an illusion about why those people left. If their big thing that they have to offer people in a relationship is their status and their image or their looks or their charm or their money or whatever, they don't want people in their life to view the person who left as a just and fair and stable and balanced loving person. You could wonder, well, wouldn't that be a good thing? I was in a loving, nurturing relationship with someone. They were loving and nurturing, blah, blah. We just had different dreams and kind of different directions we wanted to go. No, they don't want to do that because they know that they kind of acted in a shadowy way. Or they really aren't motivated by love and they do try to use their image or their status or their looks or whatever to try to get people in a relationship with them. And they know people will kind of sense that maybe they're kind of immature or kind of defensive or egotistical or whatever. But they want them to think that no, those people were unjust and unfair and that's why it didn't work out. I am the more just and fair person. And I think they're going to have some people in their life that could have initially, because of love they have for them, friends and family and whoever, willing to kind of align with them. But eventually they also, you can create an illusion about the truth of who you are and what drives and motivates you. But you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all the people all the time. And even some other people in their life that they maybe never expected, who were caught up in the illusion of who they are, could kind of distance themselves from them. And they don't want to see the truth. Because they're kind of manipulated, again, maybe by these things they're sure will make them happy if they go indulge in them or make their life about those things. Or they're kind of caught up in the illusion of themself. And, it's like if other people don't think they're amazing and wonderful, screw those people. And they'll probably end up eventually in a relationship with someone who is like themselves, which would be just and fair. What's unjust and unfair is someone who knows they really don't act with character and integrity. They're really not motivated and inspired by love. They are kind of more about themselves or indulging themselves or the ego or the image, and trying to trap someone who is more motivated and inspired by love in a relationship with them to create this illusion, and just manipulating people when that's really not their truth. They should get in relationships with people who are kind of more on the same page as them. And they might get in a relationship with someone who is like, hey, so you're going to act like love, you're going to quack like love, it's going to look like love, it looks victorious and successful by worldly standards, it might not be based on truth and love. Yeah, I'm willing to create that illusion with you. I also gave up that dream. I'm willing to indulge you or you indulge me, whoever's got more. But even the thing is, even shadowy people don't want to be in a relationship with someone like themselves, because if neither one of them are authentically loving, everybody is kind of using their emotions, their looks, their charm, their sexuality in manipulative ways. It's just manipulation after manipulation after manipulation. And they really kind of want to be in a relationship with someone who will kind of indulge them more in their shadowy ways, who's loving. And sometimes people will just get in a relationship with another person, high vibe or medium or low vibe, just to try to manipulate someone else. Look, I went and gotten a new beginning. Aren't you scared? Your dream isn't going to come into reality. You maybe haven't been taking action towards me in the way I think you should. I think I'm just and fair. You better come take action towards me. And some of the shadowy people are either waiting for someone who is more that they know that is more loving to come along, or even that they don't know. I just want to trap me a loving person, and then I'm going to get out of this relationship. Or I want more status, more image, more power. This might be good for now, but if there's someone else who comes along that it would make it look like I've changed, I've healed, I've grown, I've went up a level, they would do that. Because it's not love. It's all for all these other reasons. So what they also don't see coming for some people, if for some of them, if they're in a relationship, the high vibe people are going to be inspired to maybe move away. Some of the people in their life are going to want to keep moving forward with them. If it works for them and they're not ready to get out of it, some of them, they'll stay in it. But eventually someone might leave it if they're kind of not more on the same page, But if they are on the same page, they have found someone who is just, willing to work with them cooperatively enough and indulge kind of back and forth enough, or completely out of balance, one or the other, to do that type of relationship dynamic that they like. But some people are going to leave their life out of love for themselves and to go live their life differently. So there you go, Taurus. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.